Offset from it.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Okay. And we're live. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, say hello, Jackie.
Hello, everybody. This is Jackie with Mossy Creek Mushrooms. I know a lot of you have heard that before. If you've ever called, you've heard that.
Indeed. Well, I am Andrew Reed, Mossy Creek Mushrooms. I barely work here anymore. And this fella here is Jackie, who you just introduced himself. Actually, why don't you give us a proper introduction? Who are you? What do you do?
I am Jackie Crawford. I am the farm manager here at Mossy Creek Mushrooms. What do? I do a lot. Keep this place running pretty smoothly with a lot of help from Andrew and Samantha, Ben, and really everybody who's here. We have a really great team here. So I am so honored and wildly pleased with our team. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you, Jackie. I'm pleased, too.
Good.
So, real quick, I actually had already mentioned this to you, but this has tickled me so much I want to share it again. But Melanie showed a picture on the community tab of Jack holding our little cat, Cartman, and said that Jack would be joining us and had a question. And someone's response to that was, they said, what kind of questions would you like Jackie to answer on the podcast tomorrow? And BC Fortenberry says, what particular challenges does Jackie face as a small cat managing a grow room?
That's great.
Cartman's a big member of the team.
Yes.
He's pest control.
He's number one. Yeah.
Number one, that's right, in his mind. Seriously, though, we do have some questions about like management, and like somebody wants to know what's your rotation schedule for production and how you're able to fruit warm weather and cool weather strains in the same fruiting room, that kind of stuff coming up. So we'll have some more technical things that people want to go over here in just a little bit. But real quick, why don't we just talk about how you became farm manager?
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to, do you want to tell how we got introduced?
Yeah,
or?
that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. So Angel and Michael Miller, some very dear friends of mine, very dear, just kind, sweet, funny people, attended a language class at Sequoia Birthplace Museum in Loudon, Tennessee. I take a class there. I also taught a class for a little while just up the road at Loudon. Anyway, though, I had moved into Jefferson City looking for a job, and Angel calls me. She was like, hey, you know that farm that I always bring you mushrooms from? I was like, yeah, of course. She's like, well, they're just like 10 minutes up the road. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll have to go check it out. Well, she said, well, they need help. I was like, okay, you got a phone number? So of course I got the phone number, called Andrew. Normally something like that, you schedule, hey, I want to come in and take an interview. We sat on the phone for just under an hour.
On the phone?
On the phone.
Yeah, I guess it was, yeah.
Came in, and then, if you remember, we were here for, 5 hours that night.
Oh,
chatting.
Yeah, so I told Samantha I was going to come over here, do a little bit of work,
yeah,
and then do just a quick interview with you. And then, 3 hours into your interview, Samantha calls, and she's like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, I'm still in the interview. And she's like, still? And I'm like, it's not even an interview at this point. It's like, I don't even know what it is at this point. It's basically a date.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. Very romantic.
Very romantic.
I enjoyed it. Yeah. So, and we did. Came in and worked as a farm technician for a little while. I don't actually remember how long I was a farm tech.
Samantha, they were asking what language he was teaching.
Oh.
Sorry, she answered English. Angel and Michael speak English.
No, they did I'm sorry, I should have been more clear. Sequoia Birthplace Museum is a Cherokee museum. Specifically, it's centered around Sequoia, who came up with the written Cherokee alphabet.
Is that what's called syllabary?
Syllabary,
Okay.
yeah.
I learned about that in school.
Yeah, it's pretty common in the area. A lot of people know of it. There's several people who can write it who aren't,
Members.
enrolled members or anything like that. But truth be known, it is a lot of the heritage of this area. As a matter of fact, Mossy Creek got its name because of the local Indian peoples.
Really?
So, yeah.
How's that?
I don't know all of it. I do know that there is, we know this as it being lime heavy here.
Yeah.
And mossy waters was like a translation from dirty waters. So waters that they didn't drink,
Right.
if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Okay. Well, that's kind of cool. Yeah. So I didn't mean to interrupt, but you were
No.
saying that you came and did the interview.
Yep.
Um,
It was great.
yeah. Yeah. I've never had another interview since or before that lasted 6 hours.
No.
So usually I get tired of them in about 10 minutes.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that was actually why we ended up hiring Jackie. Largely was that it was like the first time I'd done an interview where I wasn't like a little taxed from it. So.
Well, I came in as a farm technician and did that for a while. Andrew got me involved into the lab stuff, like we were talking about, and so actually what had happened was we had done liquid culture work.
Mm-hmm.
The next day we were to do grain spawn.
Yep.
And Andrew calls and he says, "Hey, look, we need grain spawn,
Yes.
but I am sick as a dog and I'm not coming in. So I'm going to walk you through what to do." So my first lesson with grain spawn was over the phone, which was great. It was a lot of fun. Of course, he sounded, kind of. It was great though. We always have that to share.
There we go.
So,
Yeah.
it was sweet.
Yeah, Jackie has learned through the fires, true and true.
Yeah.
So I just kind of dropped him into it. It was
Yeah.
basically there was a time. So through 2020, we were working through COVID, and we didn't have employees at that time because of the COVID break, and then, golly, we went. Samantha and I were trying to build this place out with Ben. And I don't remember if Bill was here yet at that time.
No.
Okay. Bill came on after you joined, yeah.
Yeah, after I did.
So we're sitting there trying to build this place, Ben, Samantha, and I, build a warehouse, run a business, etc. So you come on, and I give you the barest of educations, and then threw some books at you and said, "I'm taking some time off. I'll see you. Good luck." And then I took I didn't come into work for 2 or 3 weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
So,
I had the key at my what I was here for 6 months or so.
It was
6 or
6
7
months.
that he was gone.
And then I
for
was
a
just like,
couple of
Jackie,
weeks.
I'm taking a vacation. I'm done. And
Yeah.
my vacation will literally be 3 minutes away, but I'm not coming in. Basically, I don't know. You learn quick. So,
Well, thank you.
And you've been a very good teacher.
Good.
Most people don't realize nowadays that when they come to a mentorship, they spend, 85% of their time with you?
With me.
Yeah.
Doing a lot.
So they spend about half of one day fully they get me through little bits of every day, but it's almost there's only one half day where I'm really dedicated, and that's for teaching mushroom breeding and some
Right,
advanced
right.
stuff. But even that, you know how to do the mushroom breeding.
I mean, yeah, but I want them to have you too for a minute.
Well, me too. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people come specifically to hang out. So
That's true too. Yeah.
well, let's see. So that's how you got started.
Yep.
But you had a farm before you started working here.
Mm-hmm.
Does that tie in at all with your experience managing a farm here? Or because here's another thing, guys. A lot of people don't realize Jackie's only 22,
Yeah.
and he runs this place.
Yeah.
So, write that in your next angry email.
There you go. Oh, come on. No, come on.
You 22-year-old's kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, does that have any? From traditional farming, because you did some more traditional type livestock farming,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Does that tie into microbiology kind of farming, or?
I would say more so in the aspect of ethics, and in the just really not being afraid to get dirty. I grew up with cows and horses and goats and everything else, and did a lot of that.
A little bit of oyster mushroom metabolite to the mouth is nothing after you've been.
Oh yeah, come on! Like I wear manure half the time. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
yeah.
Like, come on. Yeah. So that didn't bother me at all. There were some similarities. Obviously, there's there's a lot of differences between, here we have this really, nice and clean space in the lab. I don't have that at my farm at home. There's just like the bedroom. I guess is as clean as you get. No, I mean it's one of those things I have thoroughly enjoyed. Whatever I have done here, it has been a thrill and a pleasure. Going from the livestock to coming in and doing, working with the mycelium and the mushrooms and everything else it's been a big difference. Not exactly where I thought I would be.
Right.
But certainly, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. So,
right. Well, I mean, it's a little, how would you put this? Like, it's a little bit easier than traditional farming, I feel like, in some ways. It's harder in others.
Harder in others, but definitely easier. I'm not out in the sun all the time, which
right.
I really like.
Which, I mean, the production crew, they are out on the floor, whether it's cold or hot. But, I mean, even then, like, grow rooms are air-conditioned somewhat. So it's really only production that we end up having elements really exposed. And it does get cold out there. But it's not like – I remember – doing a little bit of cattle growing up, not very much, but a little bit, and getting out there. And it's I don't like being in the sun. I will say, Samantha and I we had this idea we were going to grow produce and sell it. And I know a lot of people make good money on produce. I hate working outside when it's uncomfortable, and it's uncomfortable, like 3/4 of the year.
The whole time you can grow.
Right, the whole time you can grow, yeah. Right. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like that aspect of it, so.
Yeah. Me too. I did a lot of eggs. We had chickens, ducks, quails, geese, turkeys, everything. So we did a lot of eggs. We did a lot of vegetables, and anything really. But I found it, tiring, and I love it. I wouldn't mind to do that the rest of my life, honestly. But being here where there is some air conditioning from time to time is nice. I do certainly enjoy that aspect of it.
For sure. So, well, before we get into anything technical, is there anything else you'd like to share? I mean,
not off the top of my head.
Off the top of your head?
I'll say that we're getting some awesome praise coming in.
Oh, good.
Oh, gosh, yeah, we are. Look at this. Nepticulid says, out of dozens and dozens of vendors I work with on a regular basis, Jackie is the only person that returned my call within 10 minutes without me leaving a message. Keep up the good work, Jackie.
You got it.
Yeah,
thanks. Absolutely.
That guy's name's Dwayne. He's actually in the Discord.
Okay.
So, I don't know if you recognize Dwayne from the top of your head or not. So.
I don't off the top of my head, but I talk with how many people in a day?
Right, yeah. Like, people don't realize,
I recognize voices.
Right.
I do too, is what's funny.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I can remember their life story, but I have a difficult time remembering names. I'm sorry. I love you guys.
I feel that way too half the time. So, someone says they love your shirt, Sam.
Aw, thank you.
From
Grimfrost.
It's from Grimfrost. We are not sponsored.
No, we're not.
Grimfrost, if you would like to sponsor us, we would love a sponsorship. I actually have your horn behind me, and oftentimes when we're doing events like the Mushroom Olympics, we do a blast from that horn every time we start. So. Let's start with something on that. So you were here for the Mossback Syndicate get-together, which we have in October. We're planning again in October.
Yeah.
So, but what was it like getting to meet a bunch of people who thought they knew you already? It
was great. I had such a good time. And I'll tell you what, for us, Tristan and I, who also works here.
Tristan
my brother.
I was going to say Jack's brother. And by the way, I would love to have you both on here sometime.
We'll have to.
Because the stories of their childhood are quite harrowing. They put each other through walls and all kinds of stuff growing up.
It was great. Yeah, great. Well, Tristan and I had quite an interesting beginning to that day. It was the last day that our mother had in a house. So it was very stressful, and everybody was just at each other's throats. And we came here, and it was just party. Everybody was great. Oh, my gosh.
Very chill.
Very nice. The KFC was wonderful. I really enjoyed that. And just sitting around talking to people. Everybody, I recognized half of their voices, which was great. Ben Dueling especially.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, that was great.
No one has quite the same just pure excitement behind their voice has been doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was really great. I can't even go into how much I enjoyed it because everyone who I talked to was so kind and so pleasant, and I'm not on the Discord. I had more invitations to jump on there that night than I don't know ever in my life with anything.
People just want to hang out with you, but what a lot of people don't realize is sometimes when you've been working mushrooms all day,
you're tired.
You want to go home at 5 o'clock and not work mushrooms.
Right.
Not to mention Jackie's got a whole other farm to work when he goes home. So
right. Busy person.
Busy.
Yeah. So.
But I understand. Like I would love to have you on there too, but I get it because like sometimes I go home, I'll eat supper, and I might play a little bit of video games or hang out with the kids. Then I go on Discord while I'm having my nightcap before bed, and it's like there I am on Discord again talking about mushrooms. So, and that's just like what I live, eat, and drink. So.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because now I've got this reputation with a lot of my personal friends. So it'll be midnight, and I'll get messages like, "Hey, what is this? What kind of mushroom is
like
this?"
They'll send you pictures and stuff. Yeah.
That I'm like, go Google. I don't know.
Go Google.
Don't eat it.
Don't eat it. Yeah,
Don't
that's
eat
the best advice I could give you. Jack-o'-lantern mushrooms were really common in last fall. And everybody,
Yes.
and we're in the mountains down here, so everybody who went outside saw them. So I had I probably had 21 pictures of those jack-o'-lantern mushrooms that people were sending me asking for identification.
Right.
So that was great.
Well, and jack-o'-lanterns if you don't know mushrooms, they look like chanterelles.
Right.
But the moment you see a chanterelle next to a jack-o'-lantern, usually you know. But I think jack-o'-lanterns are probably the single most asked about mushroom that I've had too. So
Definitely.
Either that or little brown mushrooms that
LBMs.
Little LBMs that nobody's going to know unless they're an expert.
Right.
So
Angel Miller. Now that's the lady who she knows. She knows them all.
Angel
She
knows a
them.
lot more about wild than I do.
She's got it, man. She knows it.
I think they actually got their start in foraging.
They did. Yeah.
I started foraging, and then I realized that two things.
Mm-hmm.
It's way more work than I want to do, and B, you can go out and work all day, and you may not make anything, or you might go out there for 5 minutes and make a fortune.
Right.
And I don't really like that. I like to be able to come in, do a little bit of work, and know how much money I'm going to make about it off that work.
Absolutely.
And that's just, I like that stable kind of thing.
Oh, I do too.
Which I know the angels do too, which is why they farm.
Yeah.
But and I get it. Like for foraging, for a lot of people, it's just getting out into nature and doing that kind of stuff. But
that's why I like it. Tristan and I grew up doing a lot of foraging. We did a lot. We did lots of mushrooms, lots of mountain mint.
Yeah.
Lots of ramps and stuff like that.
Well, we've talked about you guys. What is it? Watercress and
watercress and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even know there was a white sassafras until you told me.
Yeah, white and red.
Yeah, I was always just knew by the red.
We know how to use both, and that's important.
So you guys, did you learn that from like your grandparents, or did you learn that more from your folks, or what?
Mostly grandparents. I also have an uncle who's really big into, I don't know, what is that, herbology? I don't know.
Herbalism. Yeah, I don't know.
So he did a lot with that. My grandmother did a whole lot with that. My grandmother would tell you stories while you were foraging or whatever, when you came home or when, after we were done in the garden or whatever. I remember hearing, I was brushing my teeth and my gums were bleeding, sorry. And she said, well, go out there and get that plant. It looks like there's snow on it. I was like, oh gosh, what is that? What
would that be? Lamb's ear?
It was mountain mint.
Mountain mint,
which is not like our normal, like peppermint or chocolate mint or anything like that. So I found that, and she made me boil it and gargle the whole thing. And now I keep a mountain mint dried just for that reason. I don't even use Listerine or anything like that. I use that every day.
So yeah, it's funny because I actually every time I go to the dentist, they talk about how perfect my teeth are, and I rarely ever brush. I do use. I know this is going to be potentially gross for people, but I like dogwood. Mm-hmm. I take little dogwood twigs,
right,
and chew them up, and then they just turn into a little brush, and you just sit there and brush your teeth with them.
Yeah,
and it's got a good flavor to it. Number one, but number two, I was reading about it. There's antibacterial and stuff in dogwood, and it's not just dog. You can do it with redwood too, or not redwood, redbud.
Redbud.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a couple I knew you could do that with.
Yeah.
We tried that as kids with yellow root.
You stained your teeth, yeah. Yellow root.
All down your chin. That was great. Yeah. We love that.
I'm going to have to jump out of here, but I will be back.
Okay.
And James said that you are a rock star, Jackie.
Thank you.
James Mundell.
Oh, I know. Mr. Woody.
I know, Mr. Woody.
I remember him now.
just-
Come on.
Okay, so somebody's asking if we're going to the Memphis Mushroom Festival. I didn't even know there was a Memphis Mushroom Festival, so I'll check it out. But I will say that a lot of people don't realize that Tennessee is shaped weird. And so Memphis is about as far away from you can get from me and still be in the state.
Right.
You could go to Johnson City and be about an hour further from Memphis, but that's about it. Like it's a good ways away.
Yeah.
So it would actually be easier for me to go. Like Asheville's 2 hours away, completely different state, over the mountains and everything. Still only 2 hours away compared to Memphis, which is like what is it, like 12?
It's a while. I mean,
it takes less time for me to get to Tampa, Florida, than it does to Memphis.
I went last year, but I can't remember how long it took me. Sorry.
It takes forever.
Yeah. I think it took us like 11 and a half hours.
That's what I was thinking. It's like and you live a good 30 minutes closer anyways.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Let's see. So do we grow psilocybes? We do not, LARP.
No.
Nope, we don't. We teach you mushroom growing techniques, which you do with those as your own business, but we focus on edibles, gourmet medicinals, things like that.
Right.
Let's see. Where else do you all get your cultures then? Oh, okay. I think they're talking about to the psilocybes guy.
Oh, gosh.
I know, right?
That's great.
I
get a lot of those calls too.
I bet you do.
Oh
I bet you really do.
So.
Well, then let's go back to that one person's question. It was Michael from earlier said on the post from yesterday. They're wanting to know how you manage growing warm weather species and cold weather species in the same room.
Okay.
I'm going to let you handle that question because I feel like you know it as well as I do.
Yeah.
So.
Well, for me, it's one of those things like, we have the cold weather pack, we have the warm weather liquid culture pack, but you're going to have good look out of the cold weather pack if you grow it in cold weather.
Yeah.
You're going to have good look out of the warm weather pack if you grow it in warm weather. But the truth of it is, it's flexible. The mushrooms, tend to adapt fairly well. Now, having said that, I mean, when working with something like a pink or a gold, that's something tropical, they do have a harder time, and sometimes they look anemic if you start growing them in the really cold.
Right.
But we had gold in there just recently, and here this week it's like 30s and 20s in Jefferson City.
Well, I mean, we were growing the pinks even when the grow room was hitting about 55 or so. Yeah. It was slower, but I will say
they fruited beautifully.
The color of pink.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
They get almost blood red.
Yeah.
Particularly that one strain. Which one's
PF? I don't remember.
PF and F.
PF and F. I could
PF
remember.
and F.
Yeah.
So there's two main ones. When we sell pinks in either individually or in the bulk packs, which pink is that?
Individually,
is that EM or PF?
Individually, it's usually EM.
Okay, individually is EM.
If it's in a bulk, it's usually PF and F.
Okay,
and that does fluctuate from time to time because I get calls like that a lot too. You can request, for
either
those
one.
of you who order from us, you can request a specific, EM pink or PF and F or gold. I've got 3 people now that only want to use our gold 2.
Gold 2,
which is great. Yeah, I love that strain. So yeah, of course, you're more than welcome to ask.
What about have we grown the PF and F or PF gold?
We have, and I it's weird. It's just straight.
Okay.
It's a beautiful mushroom, and
that one's not released on the website yet.
No, and we don't even know how that really happened. I mean,
no, that was actually Pathfinder. The reason why it's PF times PF gold is because it was Pathfinder spores put to liquid culture directly. We did get growth, and it turned out to be oyster mushroom growth, but somehow it was a gold oyster. So somehow the jar got contaminated with gold oyster mushroom spores.
but the stems on that thing were like a cross, almost.
They're softer.
Quite,
They're softer, more like a Pathfinder
still
sport. But I just can't see how it would have
crossed. Like
crossed.
that.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
I mean, I assume that it did not cross. I'm assuming that it's just a gold with a softer stem. But I can't prove anything until we get a DNA test.
You're assuming I messed up, is what you're assuming.
I thought that was me. I thought that was my mess up.
I can't remember, to be honest.
Okay, fair
We're
enough.
going to go with that, though.
I'll let you take
I'm more
it.
comfortable with.
No,
No,
well.
I mean, whatever. I mean, so.
But yeah, so you're saying basically on the cold weather, warm weather strains and mixing them in a grow room, that it's more of a suggestion on the temperatures.
Really,
Yeah.
it really is. Yeah.
So that's actually something I've come across is that there's a lot of times when people want a specific temperature range for this oyster mushroom.
Yeah.
But like most living things, it doesn't have a specific temperature range. Especially new cultures. New cultures are hard to test fully,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
it like pinks are warm weather, quote unquote, but will grow down to 55.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like Elm Z is a warm weather oyster, but it puts off some interesting, really heavy clusters down in the cold temps. Like right now, we've got it growing like, I don't know, what is it out there right now?
I don't know. It's gotten as low as 46.
In the grow rooms or outside?
Well, in the hall.
In the
great
hall? Okay.
But right there at the grow rooms. And I'll say this, since it's been growing in the cold, we've had these beautiful, enormous brown caps. with that.
Brown?
They've been brown.
Yeah, and
It's
they're
been
usually
interesting.
white in the summer.
In the summer.
Well, what's interesting is our copperhead strain, EB5, is EB because it's Elm Z crossed with Lambert's 123 Blue.
Right.
It always has that coppery color
And really nice texture.
and really nice
Yeah,
texture,
I
like the
love that one.
Elm Z has. But you don't see that in the Elm Z until it gets cold.
Right.
Then you start to see that kind of copper color come out, and it's, I don't know, it's kind of interesting. Like, we actually had someone who bought BS8 from us one time,
Yes.
and BS8's kind of like a weird,
I call it the chameleon strain
yeah,
because it goes from the most beautiful hue of blue. I mean, it's just gorgeous, and but whenever you grow it, when was it? Was it it was in the middle of
it was
summer?
in the middle of the summer.
And it came out this brown, and I mean,
Yeah.
it was a pretty mushroom still, but it wasn't.
But it was legitimately kind of like a brown,
It was.
not a dark navy blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This lady, God love her, was pretty aggravated with us, so we tested it ourselves. And like, no, that's it. Sorry,
that's still the strain, like,
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, the
was
pictures she
interesting.
sent us were the pictures of the pins, not pictures of the, like, she wanted it to look like the pins.
Right.
But-
That's true.
Yeah, it with the suggestion, like, there is no exact science on the temperatures. Mixing strains is fine as long as you hit what it would be like a Goldilocks zone,
Right.
I imagine.
Right.
We are never able to really keep it truly at the Goldilocks zone, but we do a pretty good job of keeping it within a I don't know what you would call it, like a good range
Safe
for a
zone.
safe zone. Yeah.
Well, and I would, from what we've been doing recently, there's been a lot of, here in East Tennessee, there has been a lot of fluctuation in our temperatures. And,
yeah, one day it's 70 degrees outside, and the next day it's like
snowing.
9. Yeah.
The next day it was we dropped like 57 degrees in a night.
Yeah.
And
I remember
was
that. I
crazy.
started out that day in sandals,
Yeah.
and by that night I was wearing my wool sweater.
And feeling great. Then the next day you couldn't breathe. Everybody
Yeah.
was stopped up. Yeah, it was great. But yeah, I think that honestly, a little fluctuation is good. And same thing with humidity. With every time it rains out here, I mean, we're in a big warehouse, so every time it rains and we open up those bay doors, our grow rooms are sopping wet.
Yep.
And then 3 days after that, when it's starting to dry out, we have some of the most beautiful, full, thick, pillowy mushrooms, especially those king blues. After
Oh,
it's
yeah,
rained,
yeah.
they're perfect.
Did you see the king blues in the grow room right now?
Yeah, they're beautiful
Yeah,
right now. They're
crazy
really
beautiful,
dark.
yeah.
It's great. I'm
And it was
excited.
funny because it's right after that rain.
Yeah, Trista was like, "What's different?" The rain.
The rain,
Yeah.
the rain, and
Yeah.
the cold shock. I think
Yeah,
that cold shock made them turn.
It's been a weird couple
blue.
of days.
They're almost
Yeah.
purple.
It is.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
So we have someone that says, "Is there any use for potato starch in mushroom cultivation? I remember reading it somewhere, but I can't seem to find the information. I don't know about that. Do you know anything for that?
Yeah, I do. I remember when we were reading Cordyceps Cultivation by William Padilla Brown. He was using the potato starch in his cultures.
In his Cordyceps Grower's Handbook or something like that?
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. Yep. But other than that, I haven't seen it anywhere else that I can think of. We don't. I mean, we use corn dextrose, corn sugars.
Yeah, we
in
use
our
corn
liquid
sugars.
culture. Yeah.
But not the starch. That's what starch
Not
removed.
the starch,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know of any Rother.
None
Other than like what Jackie was saying, the cordyceps, and I didn't even remember that. That was all Jackie. So that was actually one of my first experiments. Was coming in with you was to come in. I said, "Here's William Padilla Brown's book on cordyceps. Read it, and then give me a synopsis. I don't want to have to. I don't want to have to read the whole thing. Just you give me a synopsis and tell me what you need."
Mm-hmm.
And then we played around with it a little bit, but then we got busy with more oysters. So
yeah,
seems like oysters are.
It's where the money's at.
It's where the money's at.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely where a lot of a lot more of the money is for sure.
Absolutely.
I have a mushroom operation in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, Wilson County. Do you know where that's at?
Yeah. I go to the Mount Juliet powwow every year.
You do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where is that at? Middle Tennessee, West Tennessee?
No. Mount Juliet is. I mean, it's East Tennessee. I'm pretty sure. Is it around Nashville? Am I thinking right?
What?
Can you look it up? I don't know.
Mount Juliet?
Mount Juliet. I haven't ever driven there. I usually sleep
I
in
can
the
look
back.
it up. Mount Juliet, Tennessee is a city in oh man, give me a second. Directions. This will tell me better. 3 hours and so okay, it's close to Nashville.
Nashville. That's what I was thinking. It was closer to Nashville.
Yeah.
It's a pretty area.
Well, I've not been up that way. I don't tend to go to Nashville very often, so. But I do know, I love the plateau. When you go about 2 hours west of here and get up on the I'd like to get more. I'd like to get a little bit more mushroom strains from out that direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's so much drier up there that unless you just plant it perfectly, it's kind of hard to get up there. And
right.
So they said that they have one in Juliet, Tennessee. I'll be a vendor at the Memphis Mushroom Festival, which is supposed to have a lot of mycology-related lectures, workshops, and forays. So, I mean, yeah, we should look into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
See if we want to go.
Best of luck to you, Mount Juliet grower.
Yep, that would be Michaela.
Michaela.
I think I'm saying that right. Kind of like Ricola, I guess, but Michaela.
Okay, gotcha. I'll remember that now.
Right?
Funny.
Yeah, I bet you will. Are you going straight from LC to goat mix or inoculating from spawn?
Going into spawn. We did do an experiment into the straight into the goat mix.
And it worked.
It did. It was just
slow.
Yeah. For us as commercial growers, speed, I mean, time is money, money is time. Speed is very important in this game.
Yeah, but
so
slow is steady and steady is fast.
Well, I mean, okay, do you want to wait on a paycheck? Because I don't.
Okay, fair enough.
That's just me, So.
I like that. Well, okay, so how about we've got someone asking, even though your grow is negative pressured, so the grow rooms have got negative pressure, is the majority of your fresh air coming in filtered through your humidifiers or pulled in from another fresh air source?
So it's not filtered through the humidifiers. We do have a small fan, kind of pulling in outside air. There is no filtration. Of course, it comes in and it helps to get the water. What would you call it? The vapors from the humidifier kind of pushed, throughout the room.
Yeah.
Try to keep everything good and wet. And then we of course have the outtake fan. But no, there's really no filtration. Not something. But I do get that question. That is probably one of the, top 10 that I get calls about. Do I need to filter the air going into my grow rooms? No, or do I need to filter the air going into incubation? And we don't do either one of those.
No, we don't.
We do great. So
we don't think it's necessarily a bad idea.
I mean, if you can afford it.
If you can afford it.
That's
right.
the thing. If you can afford it, do it. So
Yeah, we don't. It would be a lot. Like, you'd have to seal every nook and cranny and make sure the air is coming from exactly where you want. And to me, it's just easier just to
do this.
Just do this, yeah.
What we've got going. And it's great. It works great. I mean, we have some of the, and I'm not knocking anybody else, because I've seen some other, growers who've got really nice fruits. But Mossy Creek Mushrooms has some of the most beautiful. I mean, we really do rival. I think everybody tries to aspire, at least, locally, maybe a little bit outside of locally.
I mean, I may be biased, so, but
I'm not.
I agree with you.
I mean, people
You're
might
not?
say I am, but
Yeah.
I'm not. This place really does produce some beautiful mushrooms.
Yeah, I'll get behind that.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, so with that answered, you can tell I'm really together right now.
I think you're just fine. You're
Thank you,
fine.
Jackie.
Yeah, it's great.
Are there any strains y'all find to be more forgiving than others for newer farmers in terms of colonization and fruiting?
Okay.
So I guess it's Jackie. Let's I tell you what. Let's change that just a little bit.
Okay.
And let's ask what is Jackie's 3 favorite oyster strains for the beginner? Like someone who's never grown an oyster before, but they want to grow, but they want a little diversity. So
Okay.
3 of them, go.
Okay. So number 1 is going to be King Blue Oyster. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
I like that one a lot. It's pretty forgiving. I will say it is a little susceptible to blotch.
Mm-hmm.
It's not anything to worry about initially, I don't think, especially if you have a good, clean, healthy culture going. I like that one a lot. It's a nice one. It's pillowy, and as soon as you get a fruit off this, you're like, I can do anything. I can do anything I want to
Right.
do. So that's number 1 is King Blue. And then the second one would definitely have to be Lambert's 123, the blue. And everybody who comes in here, I always tell them that one, because I've kind of made up a little jingle that Lambert's 123 is as easy to grow as saying 123.
Mm.
It's an easy one. It really is. It's a good one. It's beautiful. It's got a nice texture. And the gills don't get quite as gritty as some of the other blues that I've encountered. So I like Lambert's as well. And number 3 would definitely be Mother of Pearl. Mother
Okay.
of Pearl is probably, in terms of flavor, I like a young Mother of Pearl oyster. And in terms of just how hard or difficult or easy it is to grow, it's fairly easy to grow. It does, I think, at least from what I have seen, it prefers cold weather.
The Mother of Pearl?
Yeah.
Well,
But
so I noticed in the summer,
Mhm.
it pinned when it was in like 90s.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like, it was definitely heat stressed.
Yep.
In
It
the
did
90s.
get heat stressed.
But yeah, I think right now we're growing them,
Mhm.
and the color blues that they are,
It's beautiful.
beautiful. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I mean, if I'm going to take some for myself, I always get them when they're just a little bit young, when they've still got some blue on them, because at that point it's sugary, it's sweet. It's a nice flavor. I
Gotcha.
really like those Mother of Pearls.
So there's Jackie's favorite 3.
Yeah.
So wait, let's just repeat those. It was King Blue,
King Blue,
Lambert's 123,
Lambert's 123,
and then Mother of Pearl.
Mother of Pearl. Now,
Okay.
we can't not discuss Old Road Oyster.
Okay. Discuss it.
So Old Road Oyster, hands down, is my favorite oyster for eating.
Well, and so why is it your favorite
So,
for eating?
It has just an amazing nutty flavor. As a matter of fact, the day that we got that in production, I took one home, you took one home, Ben took one home, and Tristan, of course, ate it with me. And we all came in the next day and was, oh my God, did you guys taste that mushroom? It was just not a typical oyster flavor. It was very nutty. So to me, I described it first as like a sesame flavor, sesame oil flavor, that kind of just lightly nutty, lightly sweet flavor. And then Andrew, hit the nail on the head when he said the cashew flavor.
Ah, yeah.
That's the truth. It really is. It's like eating through a really buttery.
Well, it's funny because
Cashew.
cashews are like, there's 2 nuts that I can eat.
Mm-hmm.
I can eat cashews, and I can eat pistachios
Really.
in limited amounts. But those are the only 2 that I can eat. And so that's like, I was like, oh, cashew. But that was like the only like real nutty flavor I could think of that was, you know, similar to it. Because it's been since I was a kid, since I've had like peanut butter or anything like that. And I haven't had walnuts in forever and pecans or anything like that. So, hey, my baby's back.
Hey.
Welcome back.
Also, I listened to the podcast in the car the whole way.
Uh-huh. And how did the sound?
Sounded really good.
Okay,
Ooh,
good.
That was
Okay,
awesome.
good.
And the lighting is good.
Is it?
It
Well,
is.
we've not had any complaints about the lighting this time. So I'm excited for that. All right, Jackie, so we've got your favorite 3 plus 1.
Look,
You forgot the one in the chamber.
I know. I'm sorry I hit you. Old Road, though, it's phenomenal. If you haven't got that culture, get it. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not trying to. Well, I am trying to sell it to you, but it's worth it. I'm telling you, it is so worth it. Get it.
I agree. I can't tell you how excited I am about the Cave War series. Cave War series is that'd be the King Blue crossed with the Old Road, and we're trialing out a bunch of strains of King Blue crossed with Old Road.
So 2 favorites.
That's 2 of our favorites, yeah. All right, so we have, what is the best advice you could give to a new anxious grower investing in their new op? You already taught me planning is cheap and the barbarian method. Thank you so much for that. So, I actually need to do a video on the barbarian method.
Yeah, because I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, I've not actually sat down and really discussed with you, like, what's the difference between, like, barbarian technology versus civilized technology.
Mm-hmm.
All of this is from an article written by a guy named Venkatesh Rao on a website called Ribbon Farm called The Return of the Barbarian. So for those who are curious and want to read it on their own, I have been pushing it in the Discord, and not very many people have read it. So, but it changed my life. So with that, Jack, what is the best advice you could give to a new anxious grower investing in their new op?
I think being anxious is good, but I also have to stress you've got to have patience. This is something, I mean, you've worked at it for a while. You guys,
Yeah.
beg my pardon, have worked at it for a while. And it's certainly something, I hear from people every single day, hey, I'm new to this. That's probably said more on that phone than any other phrase.
Yeah, right.
I'm new to this. Give me advice. What can I do? What can I do to bypass the struggles that you have had?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I've got to say that experimentation is without a doubt the most important thing, because what we have, what we're working to, and what we, are striving to hit is probably, could be different than your goals and what you're trying to hit and what you're trying to meet. In terms of stuff like grain spawn, working in the lab, I said, well, cook it this long.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I cooked it this long, and I'm still having these troubles.
Yeah.
You're going to have to play around with stuff like that, because even here we have one autoclave that cooks miraculously well. Then the other one, I just kick it every time I walk by.
Both of these, by the way, are all American 75Xs,
Mhm.
so you would expect them to be the same.
The same,
And
yeah.
but they both need different amounts of babysitting.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
both of them work wildly different from each other.
It's incredible.
It is.
So that's why I always say, like, okay, like we've got this stuff written down. Do it this long at this temperature. But truth be known, you're going to have to play around with it. Experiment. Take your time. That's really what I've got. And do invest properly. Ask us. You feel free to call, text, email, whatever. Is this worth it? I think I'm going to be able to answer most of the time. Yes. I'll tell you what is so worth it to me.
What?
First and foremost comes to my head is magnetic stir bar retriever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I haven't found that one.
You haven't found it?
I haven't found it. But that thing is a lifesaver.
I have a magnetic stir bar retriever for making agar and stuff.
Yeah. Because
I don't know what Jack did with it.
I'm awful, and I pour out the magnet every time.
Oh, into the sink?
Every time.
Yeah, that's pretty much the worst, Jack.
Yeah,
that's
it's
bad.
Yeah.
There's
probably 3 of them in there. Just
That's no wonder the sink's not draining.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I'm just playing.
So.
Oh man. So we had someone ask real quick that excuse me, the chat jumped, so I'm just reforming the room. Oh, Dwayne says Copperhead rocks. So Dwayne has gotten on Discord a few times and like just sung the praises of Copperhead. It's a very little known strain. I very rarely mention it. It's a freaking rock star.
It's another one. It's a good mushroom. I enjoy that one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Andrew, we need to see a bit more of Jackie. So I don't know if maybe they're telling me to get the camera off me, or because I've had the camera on you for like most of the time. I'm sorry, Ian. Nah. I think they just want you around more often. So we'll
work that out.
We'll do more episodes. Again, like I want to get you interested in both on here at some point.
Oh yeah, you guys will love Tristan.
Him in that freaking mask.
You'll love Tristan. He's great.
Question: Do you have separate requirements from each restaurant you work with, or do they receive the same strains each week? Do you want to talk a little bit about how we handle either one of you actually? Like,
do you want to jump on that one?
Yeah, talk about how we pick, how we handle the sales of strains to chefs, because guys, this actually really is interesting to me, because where we test strains, we actually test strains on our chefs. So
You're in the hot seat, Jackie.
Okay. Well, I mean, really, I do have a few chefs. Well, sorry, we have a few chefs. We've really stressed we here lately. Okay, so we have a few chefs that we have a visitor.
oh my god,
it's wonderful.
Oh shit.
We're gonna have to pause a minute. Sorry, guys.
Yep. All right, just thank you.
You're a little extra creepy.
So great. He's so sweet.
Oh yeah, you know, nothing like a little love for Michael Myers.
Right. I have no idea what I was saying.
So, you guys were supposed to be discussing.
Chefs.
Chefs.
Yeah.
So Samantha's out of the room, so why don't you handle that for a second?
So really with chefs, I do have a few who want the same thing every single week. And we can typically do that. We try our best to do that anyway. It's not always possible.
Mm-hmm.
Contamination happens from time to time.
Right.
Accidents happen from time to time. So we're not always 100% able to get the same strains.
Right. So no guarantees.
No guarantees.
Only preferences.
Preferences, right. And we have a few who will ask, hey, can I get this kind this week? Usually we're able to hit that and with a yes. Like we discussed earlier here lately, the weather has been wild, so it's been a little more difficult.
No kidding.
But so like we keep King Blue because everybody loves the King Blue. You know, we keep that rolling.
And it's just money.
And it's a heavy one.
Right.
It's a really heavy one.
Fills a box easy. Yeah.
And you can utilize a great amount of it as well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Down to the what would you call it? The substrate. You know, I mean, you can use a lot of it. It's very pillowy too. If you haven't used that one, I recommend it. And most of our chefs, I think, would probably say the same thing. Old Road is another one we had compliments that week.
That week of like, oh, look, this oyster, yeah.
This is great. We need more of this. You know,
it's so silky and the flavor on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So great it was.
Pretty amazing and awesome.
Well, for an oyster mushroom, it has an actual flavor profile.
That's not just oyster mushroom.
Right. Yeah.
It's really
nice.
nice.
We're very fortunate too that we have chefs that have bought in on that have you know they are becoming familiar with the acronyms and they're starting to see and experience the culture that we're trying to cultivate literally.
Right.
And then they're buying in and they're giving us feedback and they're giving us the taste profiles and how it cooks well. And so essentially we are cultivating the taste of Knoxville and Maryville and Sevierville and Townsend and Walland and all of these places. And our chefs are choosing what stays and what goes. And that's a big... That's a huge compliment for one, and then the fact that we've had very little rejection.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And we're pulling these strains locally.
Right.
And we're testing them, and that's a pretty awesome joint effort.
So we don't tend to do mixed boxes.
We try not to.
Right. So do now we try not to.
Right.
Here's the thing, I haven't. The last time I picked a box was shiitake, so obviously not any mixing on that, and that was only because we were desperate for harvesting.
Right.
So I haven't actually gone over the rules of how we pick very often. So you see what you guys have done to me on the online side? Like you've removed me from my own business. But if we're trying not to mix boxes, So let's say we pick a box of, King Blue and Old Road and Gold and Pink and all this stuff. Like, I know you were talking about how we have preferences, like chefs tell us our preferences, but how do we choose, like, who gets what and what goes where and why a strain ends up where it goes?
Right. So if a chef likes a particular mushroom, for instance, we have a chef who wants every king that he can get his hands on. Okay. Well, when we don't have kings, we might have black pearl kings. So that's something that's kind of similar.
Right.
So if they're asking for something a little different, a little unique, we can hit with chestnuts or golds, because that's something that you don't see every day. It's that bright yellow in the box.
Right.
It's beautiful. Or the pinks even. So being flexible on our end as well as the chef's end, they do wonderful, by the way. If you can't get the King Blue, we're going to try and send you something else that's like Pathfinder, that's really pillowy.
Right.
Has a very nice meaty texture, So that's kind of how we work it out. Now, it's not always how it happens, but that's how we try to keep it going.
Sorry.
What's got you tickled, Samantha?
I was just reading a few of the comments, and Jesse put on there, what is Jackie's 10-bag fold speed?
The same down here. He
But
said.
I don't want to have missed anyone, so I'm not quite
Well,
sure
he
where
also
you ended, so.
says here, what is Jackie's 10-bag fold speed, and then who can fold bags faster, Jackie or Sam?
Man.
We should do a...
We should do
This
that.
will be the next
I'm
going
gonna
to
say Samantha.
Me too. I second that.
No, Jack, you have
got
to
money on her.
visualize the win.
I
No.
will say that I was taught a few things
No.
during our mushroom bag folding Olympics, so I'd like to put those to the test and see if I can get faster.
There you go.
So
There you
we'll
go.
see.
I'll say this, Tristan and I, one time we were just having friendly competition. To be honest, what it was is we were both tired and ready to go, okay? And it was one of those things like, okay, see how fast we can get this done. So it's like, oh, man, you took forever. So then I tried, okay? And he beat me by a landslide. So, but hey, we can try it out. We can
Everyone
we can
has
do
their
that.
strengths. I don't know if Tristan would be able to be on the phone as long as you.
I don't think that we would still have customers if Tristan was on the phone a lot.
No, we know that. We know that.
Yeah, because
We know
Tristan's... Tristan doesn't have the kind of patience for dealing with...
No,
Maybe we should let Tristan speak for himself.
Well, fair enough.
He has. A few times.
Tristan has people skills. The question is whether he's got the
Is he gonna use
patience
them?
to exercise them.
It's all a choice. It's all about choice.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
I mean, don't get me wrong. Every now and then I see you get, on those phone calls where you just get defeated.
Sometimes. It's very rare.
Burnout is a thing.
Burnout
It is
is
a thing. It is a thing. It's very rare. Thankfully, we had, the two holidays, New Year's and Christmas, that we were able to just, have a 3-day weekend. It was nice. And then we had snow. Well, ice, rather.
Yeah.
So that was nice. But always coming in on Monday mornings, and you get those just huge, long, just never-ending phone calls, which, please call. Please call. I love to hear from you guys. We have great conversations
Right.
a lot of the times. And I don't mind at all to help with our strains or anything else. But if you're growing, in your sink, which was a call last week, not going into any names or anything else, that was just annoying, okay, because I tried to educate and they just weren't having it. So,
Well,
anyway.
yeah, that's kind of the worst is when you get the phone calls for advice and then they fight you on the advice. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
For sure.
rough.
Someone said, did you get a business license first and your farm inspected for being able to sell mushrooms? So, little known fact, we've never been inspected.
Dun,
Might be now.
I mean, if we are, bring it on. Like Samantha and Jackie have been doing an excellent job of getting us to where we could pass inspections. That said, I mean, I don't know that we're 100% on everything, like codes and stuff, but at the same time, we follow MGAP, and Samantha is getting us daily closer and closer to passing those requirements without even being a requirement for us. So we are working towards that kind of stuff, but we did not have to have it. So no, I bought my business license, but I was already selling mushrooms before from our basement op, because my accountant had told me to just do it as a hobby business for the first little bit. She said, like, when I started making money, then, like actual money, that's when I need to make my business license, which is why we started selling something like 2011, 2010, but didn't form our business license till 2013. So, because I was just playing around, selling a little bit here and there, but not enough to go on the taxes.
Now, I will say that we have been inspected by farmers market managers. We've
Right,
had our chefs
right,
come
but
and
not a
tour
government
and
agency.
kind of, right.
Right.
And in Tennessee, they love to push agriculture, and they have a lot of, I don't want to say forgiveness, but a lot of understanding.
A lot of leeway, to make farming
for people
easy.
who are growing,
Yeah.
and it's kind of basically at a cap of how much you make within a 3-year period or over a certain amount, then you have to start following specific
Right.
rules.
Most of the guidelines that we have to follow are actually federal guidelines because the state of Tennessee just decided they were going to get out of the way. So.
And also the simple fact that, you grow with common sense. I mean, you're clean. You have to be to get a good, fruit crop. You've got to be. And we pasteurize.
Well, that's actually the nice thing about mushrooms, isn't it? Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't grow a lot of nice mushrooms unless you actually follow good, clean practices.
Right.
Yep.
So if you've got a guy at the farmer's market with a lot of good-looking mushrooms, chances are he's doing a good job.
I'm going to go with
at
that
the
guy.
farm. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have someone that says the aspen culture I have is berserk, and I am making more spawn than I could possibly use right now. I believe is a North American species, so have you guys ever tried it? Jack, I don't think you've ever had experience with it.
I've not.
Okay, so Samantha and I grew this in
that
the
was
basement.
the white oyster, wasn't it?
That was a white oyster,
That's
and
a
it
very-
grew huge and almost no stems.
Yep.
It was like it just grew straight out of the block.
Wow.
That thing was the worst mushroom to pick ever.
Oh, really?
I was
You
gonna
would
say
you
for
would
me,
grab it like
the
you
whole
would
block
grab,
would come in.
yeah, you would hold it and you'd be putting your fingers behind it, you'd be pulling and twisting, and all of a sudden it would just pop off and launch at you.
It was like mushroom confetti.
Yeah, and then the caps were a little fragile, so when it hit you, they would just explode. Like if I was wearing these overalls, I'd have like pieces of mushrooms down it and stuff.
That was almost when you had to have a harvest cut.
Yeah, you had to have a
Really?
harvest knife for that
Okay.
one.
Wow.
And
We're
I
allowed one cut. We're allowed, to pick.
with one harvest cut.
Yeah.
So Jesse, I don't know what Jackie's 10-bag fold speed is. So
We're
She's
gonna
still
do it. We're
asking?
gonna time
No,
it.
no, this
We'll
is-
announce the results.
Right. We'll announce it.
Yeah, I just saw it again. So any update on the U-shaped cut? Still do that?
100%.
Yeah.
Yes. And as a matter of fact, like, I don't know, did you go into the size that we were doing?
I don't think I did. I think that I just did the cuts and
Yeah.
things were working well, but then we never did go into like
5
how.
inches across, isn't it?
When I have done it, when Tristan does it, I mean, we've got bigger hands, but
Yeah, we kind of just,
yeah,
shoo.
from pinky to thumb. Is up.
Pinky to thumb.
And I'll tell you what, when we were doing that with the King Blue, I talk so much about the King Blue, I love it. When we were
This is
doing that
basically
with the
becoming a PSA on King Blue.
right? So, King Blue
Oh, goodness.
became. We had in the last, I guess, November and December. Probably most of these were in November. We had 14 mushrooms, 14 King Blues that were 4 pounds or heavier. The heaviest we had was 4.18
Well,
from
it's-
that big cut.
Yeah, I think
like
it's
that.
the big cut and the straw mix.
Oh, absolutely. I think
Like,
the straw
it's-
has a lot to do with it.
Because we started getting bigger bumps. So not everything is like the straw.
Hericiums have
Hericiums
not
do
liked
not.
the straw.
Hericiums do not like it very much.
No.
But the oysters,
Fatal.
the oysters love the straw mix. So, like, I'm planning on actually bringing oak back in to do hericiums. Hericiums grow. They do grow on
They
the
do.
straw. It's just kind of like they start off kind of anemic. Like you spawn them and then they wait like a week before they even begin growing, and then it's like, oh, okay, now since I know there's no other food, I'm going to eat this.
Right.
Like a spoiled kid. So, but yeah, we still do that, and we do the pinky to thumb.
Yeah.
So, someone said they second Jesse's question about folding speed. Biggest
Oh my
tips on
gosh.
folding.
We're gonna have to do this.
Yeah,
We'll
right.
we'll do a video on it, guys, for sure. Any insect problems? We don't have any right now.
No, but in the summer we were dealing with an issue for a little while in the summer with those little what do you call those
Fruit
things?
flies,
Fruit
fungus
flies,
mites,
fruit
yeah.
flies, yeah.
And that
They were annoying.
every op
Has that.
just in
I
the
mean,
industry in
Mhm.
general, it's fruit flies and fungus beetles.
Fungus beetles,
unless
yeah.
they're growing like NASA, which is you're not going to make money growing like NASA.
Yeah.
So there
Nothing to worry about.
used to be this guy on Facebook, And he used to tell everyone about how wrong they were on growing mushrooms and stuff. And the only way to grow was blah, 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 blah. Come to find out he's a freaking, like, patent troll. He was creating a farm down in Georgia. Still has never... the farm's not shown up, buddy. I'm still waiting. I wish I remembered his name. I'd call him out by name.
Drop the mic.
But he was... Right?
Walk away.
But he kept talking... Like, I would give advice, and he'd be like, don't listen to that. You can't grow mushrooms that way. And he'd be like, I've got pictures of mushrooms. Where are the pictures of your mushrooms, buddy?
Right.
But he was talking about for fungus gnat control. The only way you were going to control fungus gnats was if you HEPA filtered all the air that goes in your grow rooms, and then you have to walk around while you're working in the grow room in a spacesuit, basically, so that you don't contaminate the mushrooms. Like these things can't tough that shit out.
Yeah.
You had to carry around a little handheld vacuum cleaner that was a HEPA filtered vacuum cleaner, so you could vacuum up all the fungus gnats.
I mean, like you do, you know. I mean,
Like you do, yeah,
like you do. Come on.
You know.
Like, and who can afford that? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you know, every day I work like I live on Mars.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because that makes sense.
No, it's just not feasible, I don't think.
I will
It's
say
not worth
this:
it.
I do appreciate the attention to detail, and my OCD would probably totally go in there and vacuum every single fruit fly. But
It would.
I will say that
She really would.
It's great.
hanging up some resin strips like that's.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Yep. Just the pine resin strips you can buy at Walmart and Dollar Tree and stuff.
instead of chasing them down and trying to get underneath every little corner and everything else, they annihilate themselves. So and it's super easy. And we really don't have. It's not like you're going in there. It's almost like buying a bunch of bananas from the grocery store.
Yeah, and you get a
one day
few
you've got
around
5
it.
or 6 flying around.
Right,
So
right.
in an entire I mean, it's not that bad. In the height of summer, you might have just a few more, but this is kind of gross. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, shoot, guys, we're already at 4:30.
Are we really?
That's what I'm telling you, man. Like, I feel
Wow.
like this show's almost like a little short.
Yeah.
So that said, let us, Samantha, you want to go through and find out any of the most pertinent questions? We'll do a rapid fire question session, and then we'll wrap it up.
So I will say that since I've been called out directly by Ian, did you receive my message about the cold weather strains?
Huh?
Okay.
I don't know where this is.
Clarify for me, please. I'm not
What's his
quite sure. Ian, right there. And the Lambert's 123 LC on the website where I'm.
So we don't sell
Where do we
Lambert's
find it?
123 except
Oh, I didn't know that.
in, what do we sell it in? Oh, no, we do sell it as
I
our
was
Blue
gonna-
Oyster.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's just the Blue Oyster.
I was going to say.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Uh-oh.
yeah. It's just the Blue Oyster. Yeah, we do.
The 123 is blue.
It's 123. It's a derivative of ours that we've had on liquid culture for a very long time.
Right.
So
That's been an oldie and a goodie.
It has.
We've really.
that's the progenitor of a lot of the new strains.
Yeah.
It does
Pretty-
have many smaller caps,
It does.
but it's a very nice.
Lambert's used to be my standard on quality.
Mhm. Yeah.
Lambert's is still very good. It's
It's one
just
of our
I
first.
like my strains better at this point, but that's because I'm breeding them for my own taste. So
Yeah.
it makes sense.
I'll never forget having to send in that check.
To Lambert's. So Lambert's. We bought Amisil 3015 like one time. I did not like Amisil 3015. It grows in warmer weather than other blues, but it is absolutely like worse quality than Lambert's 123. Lambert's 123 is slower and it takes better. It needs better temperatures, but grows much better quality. And then nowadays, like we're getting these new strains that we're producing that are, I like to think a little bit of both, but Lambert's 123 has been the parent in a lot of those crosses over and over and over again.
Mhm.
I mean, Copperhead is EB. That B is Lambert's 123. Rocky Top Oysters BS8. The B is Lambert's 123.
Yeah.
What is it? The Mother of Pearls BS5.
Mm-hmm.
Again, actually, a lot of our new strains are from that BS cross, the Blue Snow Oyster cross.
It's
Yeah.
been amazing to see just how many different.
Well, it is, yeah. Like because you've
And
got
how
the
beautiful
Blue
they are,
Smoke
too.
is BS10,
Mhm.
Rocky Top is BS8. Completely different strains. Like completely different. And
Right.
then
BS26
so
is is another one that's out there.
BS26. Oh, yeah, that's one of my favorites.
I love that one. Yeah.
That's the only one we can't think of a name for.
Help us, guys.
Yeah, help us with it. Somebody grow BS26 and then tell us what
Buy
you
the
think.
culture.
Speaking of mother of
Oh, there we go.
pearl.
Yeah, buy the culture.
Speaking of mother of pearl, since you mentioned it, Steve asked, "What's the difference between mother of pearl and black pearl oysters?" So there's a little bit of confusion with the two pearl.
Right. I understand that. Well, the Black Pearl King is a really thick, meaty mushroom. To me, it really is. It's a lot like the king oyster.
Yeah.
And then Mother of Pearl, which was in my top 3, 4, however many, it's just phenomenal. I love that oyster. It starts out this kind of quahog blue.
I don't know what quahog means.
Clarify.
I'm thinking like seashells. Wampum, quahog blue. Yeah, yes, blue with kind of just this white hues, white lines through it. Sometimes, truthfully, there is just faint hints of purple almost in some of them. But anyway, as they age, they kind of fade and they turn more white. But in terms of flavor, gorgeous, wonderful, delicious. I mean, I love that. It's sweet, succulent, it's juicy, it's nice. I like
So
that
the
a
difference
lot.
between it and
Well, I'll say
Black
that
Pearl
the
King.
Black Pearl
Black Pearl
King just kind of came out of not really nowhere, but we had nothing to do with that one. That's not an MCM
right. That's
original.
so Black Pearl goes under a lot of different names.
Yeah.
I've heard it called anything from Black Prince, which is the miller's favorite way to call it. I've heard Black Pearl. I've heard Black Pearl King. I've heard Black Pearl Prince. I've heard the Black Oyster. I've heard Pearl.
I know a lot.
The Pearl King. I've
Like
heard
King of the Woods.
I've heard
isn't
King
that-
of the
isn't that one
Woods.
of it?
It's
I've not
weird
heard that
because and I do think that nowadays I used to think that it wasn't a true hybrid. I think that now it is a true hybrid. I've tried breeding that over and over again. Can never get a cross or even cross with itself. I can never get a strain that will fruit from
Right.
spore. So if somebody else can get it to fruit from spore, please let me know. But I think that it legitimately just may be producing sterile mules.
Oh wow.
So, we've got.
Just real quick, whereas
Yeah.
like the Mother of Pearl was an MCM original, that was from the Blue Snow Cross. And one of the reasons why we named it Mother of Pearl and with that pearl name in there is it's got this
Pearlescent.
beautiful pearlescent kind of sheen to it that
Yeah.
Andrew and I noticed pretty much right off the bat.
Yep.
And
Laura came and got me, and Laura said,
Yep.
"This mushroom's got this like pearlescent color," and I'm like, "Pearlescent? I don't even know what that word means, right?"
Yeah.
And I went down, I was like, "Oh, like mother of pearl," and then yeah,
And it was
you
just
and I were
gorgeous.
just like, "That is obviously like shiny and like, almost like I want to say like an oil slick on the top, but it's not oily. It just has this kind of when it turns white, it's got this like it's." Like the way I like to put it is the old washerwomen used to put blue indigo in their clothes to make the whites whiter.
Like bluing. Today they've got bluing. You've heard
What
of
is that?
Yeah.
Someone's phone.
Oh,
It's not
bluing. So
Not mine
Yeah.
either.
It's like whenever I was doing poultry shows, you took leghorns or white chickens, and you had vinegar and bluing that you put them in,
really,
and it
Make 'em more
really
white?
makes them white. Yeah,
okay.
beautiful.
I didn't know that people did that with show chickens and stuff. But yeah, okay.
that's
So
a secret actually.
So-
maybe it's out now.
maybe
but-
it's out now.
Yeah, we'll see.
Jack gave away a secret. All right, Samantha, what else you got for us?
Another question from RC Jug. Plus, we've got people from Virginia and Romania and Spain and all over the place joining
Wow.
us, so that's
Wow.
super cool.
Well, hello, you
Well, everyone
mighty
local
fine
too.
mossbacks.
How do we keep track of inventory, all the various equipment, bags, needles, soy holes? Is a weekly inventory done, or are items ordered on an as-needed basis?
This might be a good time to plug Seth.
You want to do that?
You
We
go
can
ahead.
do that, yeah. Well, we do use an inventory system, which is phenomenal.
It started off with some bugs.
It did.
It
It
did.
did. Certainly did. Yeah, we've worked through them with them.
Yep.
But
But that's the thing. We've been beta testers. Actually, I guess we've been alpha testers.
yeah, really,
Right. Yeah.
really. I don't know if it's released just yet.
But it's coming soon.
It's coming soon. So
But
anyway,
Seth,
Yeah.
you told me it was going to be ready by now.
Yeah,
And then you
come
told
on.
me that you keep adding functionality. This might be a good time to release early and release often, Seth.
right? And that's
Making it more awesome.
Mushroom Media Online. It's his Seth Fisher's inventory system. Superior Substrates is what it's going to be.
Okay.
It's great. He's got everything on there, all the substrate. He's programming it now. He's working with it now to essentially whenever we're running low on something and I plug those numbers in,
It'll auto reorder.
it'll auto reorder, which
Awesome.
is something I really look forward to. So that's great with all the substrate, the oats, the sorghum, which we've been using a lot of recently. We get so much from him, I can't think.
I know, right? But just basically
Bags.
Oh, yeah, all of that
unicorn
stuff
bags comes from
is
him.
managed through, and we're getting to the point where he's wanting us to add agar,
Yeah.
Everything.
Everything.
Almost
Like-
like a subscription service in a way. You start
Yeah.
running low, and then all of a sudden it pops up, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, my life is so easy.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
so nice." Like, now you have to think about it. But
It's
as
great.
far as an in-house inventory, we basically order the same amount each month. Kind of it's this running go of producing the same 30 bags for each strain, and it's so easy to just do the same numbers all
Yeah.
the time. So you kind of have a running expectation of what's already there. We do keep a waste log as to what we throw away, so that gives us a more of a kind of in tune, idea of what we've got left. And
Right.
but we sell the same amount, we make the same amount. Essentially, it's very just repetitive.
Mhm.
I don't know another word.
Repetition is good, though. So
Oh yeah, for sure. I do have one question I see here from John Grady that I want to answer.
Okay.
He says, I know what the fungus does well with outdoor greenhouses. I'm near Huntsville, Alabama. Do you think insects would be too much pressure to do outdoor mushrooms here? So, John, I feel like in the summertime, you're going to have an issue.
Yeah.
Now, you can get around this some by, doing more bags more often. So don't let your bags stay in your grow rooms for 4 weeks like we do right now.
Interrupt that life cycle.
Interrupt that life cycle. You'd want to go 2 weeks and just do a one flush and done. So you'll do what's called a churn and burn strategy. That will be the only way I can think of that you can effectively keep insects from developing a life cycle. The other way would be using screens to allow fresh air to come in. But I mean,
Move
honestly,
your space, rotate.
yeah, you're only going to be able to grow 2 different types of oysters outdoors in the Alabama heat.
Yeah.
Huntsville is so hot.
We used to
I
grow
mean, it gets
outside
pretty
in
hot, yeah.
greenhouses, and whenever we did so, we had
We shut down in the summer back when we did.
it was basically just seasonal.
And that's actually another good response is Josiah up in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah, we both did it. Josiah up in Minnesota.
How you doing there?
They actually they're a 3-season farm,
Right.
but it's reversed. They stop in the dead winter, which is really nice right now because I'm seeing all these videos of him going ice fishing and stuff, and I'm like, 3 seasons may be a great idea, but yeah, John, that's hopefully that helps you. You can do it. There are ways around it. It's not ideal, but again, we don't work with ideal situations here
Well,
ever. I mean, unless you've got enough money to build a Mars colony, you're not going to be dealing with ideal
Come
mushroom
on.
farms.
Here we go again.
I want to go to Mars.
Yeah.
Elon Musk.
Let me grow mushrooms on Mars.
Andrew's early question is.
All right, guys, we're almost 15 minutes over time, so pick one more question to end on.
Oh, that's
I know
so
we've got so
hard.
many. It's funny because it takes 15 minutes to get people going.
Can't we go just a little longer?
Well, he's got to leave at 5,
That's also true.
I mean, well,
and I got to pee. So I'll tell you what, Samantha, ask Jack a question. I'm going to use the restroom. I don't need the cup, thank you.
well, trying to help.
Oh my goodness. Any tips on growing black pearl? We just grow them like everything else.
Yeah, really, it's pretty straightforward for us.
For us, yeah. I do know. Let's maybe get back to them on that after we've asked a few other people.
Yeah, well, I do want to say this, that Black Pearl King definitely does better in the cold. It's a definite cold weather strain. That is one that is not as flexible. You can try and grow it in the summer, because we have when
Yeah.
we've needed to. But even then, it'll put all of its energy into one mushroom. As opposed to
I
right
have
now,
seen that.
yeah. As opposed to right now, we've got some Black Pearl Kings in our grow room. They are beautiful, healthy, heavy clusters with that solid white stem too that we look for, as opposed to that, you see that browning a lot of time in the heat.
But truth be told, we don't grow it that often. We lean
We
in
don't,
more into
no.
kind of our in-house sort of originals and King
Right.
Blue and the like. But yeah, are we still looking for an assistant? We'll have to get back to you on that one. But we are always looking for for talented people.
Yeah.
So apply. I wonder how mushrooms would grow in 0G. Now, we did get some feedback from the International Space Station, through Dr. Oh gosh, what was his name? Oh, my mind went blank. He's with the Pellissippi State Academy.
I can't remember his name.
It was part of the poo challenge that I know, right? It sounds really gross.
Well, they wanted a way to deal with astronauts' waste.
Yeah.
That wasn't sending it back down and burning it up in the atmosphere.
They noticed in 0G without gravity that the mycelium grew in a ball, like in an orb sort of shape. So I thought that was super cool. What type of mycoremediation techniques do you know of? I'm starting a mycology club at my college and definitely want to do that.
Okay, so I don't know of a ton. That's not my business. That's not how I work. But basically, most of the mycoremediation that I know of would be like you grow your oyster mushrooms out and then dump your spent substrate like on an embankment to stop erosion, that kind of stuff. But I will tell you that Mycelium Running by Paul Stamets is a book entirely about mycoremediation for the most part. There is some light stuff in there about growing and mushroom biology and philosophy, and it's just a really good book in general, but there's a lot of mycoremediation stuff there. So
I know there's a lot of, like you said, just amazing information, but we primarily deal in the world of cultivation.
Yeah, we're more industrial, I guess, in that way. Like, we're more interested in maximizing production of interesting and novel strains.
And then using the spent substrate to garden and to build up a kind of personal food supply and support our community and the like.
Absolutely. Any listeners close to Knoxville or Morristown, Tennessee, please come pick up my spent substrate for free.
Please.
It is worth so much, and I don't want to take it to the landfill, and you can have it for free.
We typically do our own gardens anyway.
Right.
So the next one that I can think of is, how do you cover the top of your atmospheric sterilizer? How do you protect the interior from rust? We don't. It's very rusted.
It's rusted. It's outside.
That said, it's like, what, 8 years old? Or
Are we talking about the trough?
Yep.
Yeah.
If you pick up our trough, the bottom stays where it is.
There's not a bottom.
Right. So,
Wait. No.
so you're right. There's not a bottom. But so basically, it was at our house for years, and then
It's old.
like you've seen it in the early videos. And so when we picked it up to move it, we had to bring it in two pieces.
Yeah.
And when we brought it over here, we set the blocks back up, put the bottom back down, then put the outer edge around it, and then put plastic underneath the wood in it to keep the steam from leaking out everywhere. And
Autoclavable plastic.
now it is basically, there's so much lime in that the bottom
That
of it
is
now
the bottom.
that it's the bottom now. It's
That's
a big
true.
lime bed. Yeah,
There is lime for the
it's
bottom.
lime and rust.
Yeah, it's nice.
Here's the thing: unless you're selling kits, rust on your bags is not a problem.
Yeah.
Like it's like entirely an aesthetic issue, and like if you're selling kits, then yes, I would say get like a painted barrel and produce in that, or an autoclave or something. But otherwise,
I will say it's uncomfortable whenever you're out there and you've got bare hands and that rust just shaves underneath your
I
fingernails.
do provide gloves.
He does provide gloves. I'm stubborn and don't always wear them.
All right, Samantha, what do we got? And so we can.
Can we share some marketing tips? Growing more mushrooms than we can sell at the moment consistently. Yeah, we've been there, but now we're at the opposite. We don't have enough mushrooms
This
to
weather.
sell.
Yeah, this weather.
More demand than fruit bodies.
I think really we've discussed this before.
We'll get there.
Right. It's just getting mushrooms out into the public, taking them to different restaurants, not chains, obviously. Just getting them out there. And we have a price list now that Sam takes whenever she shows off our new mushrooms or whatever the mushrooms are, taking them to samples Uh,
And don't be stingy on your samples.
Oh yeah.
That's what I was. Yeah.
Give a whole
Go into
box.
that,
Give a
yeah.
whole case. Kind of, everything that you can kind of get in there.
If you bring them a tiny little cluster, they're going to go, oh, great, mushrooms I can eat.
Right.
And then that's it. If you bring
Right.
them a whole box, it sits in their fridge and it starts weighing on their soul. And they start going, I got to do a special with this. Oh, that
Right.
special was so good, I got to do more.
Yeah.
So
Mushrooms I can experiment and play with, and
there's a reason we're called the Syndicate. We steal people's souls.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness. Oh.
I wish, so this podcast could just become Ben and I sitting with two other people and making them uncomfortable for an hour.
They're very good
It
at
would
that.
Not a safe space.
And we're down at the very end of the scroll, so.
All right, guys.
Well, something I did want to add really quickly.
Absolutely, Jackie.
If you need help, give me a call, send me an email, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Just know at some point I am going to refer you to our website to take a look at our consultations and our mentorship. We love to have people come out here. We've got some guys in now that are just wonderful.
We got 3 people here right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. They're great. And everybody who has come through this program has just offered so much to us and even in our personal lives. And I feel we've got people now who have come through this program who are running fully functioning operations and doing really well with it. Also, we have some people who bring in. We had Daisy and Mike from Louisiana.
Oh, yeah. If you come in for a mentorship, it's always
yeah.
polite in East Tennessee to bring a little goodie basket from where you're from.
If you want to learn some secrets,
Mhm.
then absolutely.
Oh man, that Wisconsin gift
Shameless,
package.
you guys.
Yeah, no, I don't have
Shameless.
Louisiana with that gator bite.
Oh, no, that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
God
and the
bless
mushroom
you.
jerky. The mushroom jerky was probably the best.
That
part
was
of it,
great. Yeah. So absolutely, I will refer you to that at some point during our phone call. Don't be offended. This is me trying to meet you.
Yep.
So yeah, get on there.
Absolutely.
Guys, come on.
Well, and that's actually a really good point. We love answering questions,
Yeah.
but Jack gets a bazillion phone calls a day, and I gave him the work phone so that he got a bazillion phone calls a day, and I didn't. I'm trying to devote myself to making a lot of videos for you guys and content and do, schedule this kind of thing for you guys. And Samantha's working really hard on some stuff as well. So, it's always, we love to help you guys, but we also want to make sure that we're putting our energies in the best ways to help you guys.
Absolutely.
And if we suggest a mentorship or consultation, it's because we 100% believe you guys are going to benefit from it, not just us.
Right.
Yep. One thing real quick, somebody asked what state we're in. East Tennessee.
East Tennessee.
Why is that? Every time someone says, "What state
East
are you
Tennessee.
from?" It's always
Tennessee.
It's East Tennessee.
East Tennessee.
Or Middle Tennessee or West Tennessee. It's never Tennessee.
Well, because there's such different accents. For instance, I have family in
Is
North
it
Carolina.
just accents, or do you think it's accents and ways of thinking?
Possibly.
Those Flatlanders out west.
Those
Oh,
They're,
Flatlanders, yeah.
Oh.
They're not us. They're not the same.
no.
They're not. No, they're not one of us. But what I was going to say is the people from North Carolina, the accents. There is a difference that close. So people over here, I think we tend to sound more like Western North Carolinian people.
Then we do even people from like the Cumberland Plateau.
People in the Cumberland Plateau sound different to me.
Yep.
Very Kentucky, and you know who you are.
Yep.
So,
You're very welcome, Aaron.
yeah, there you go. There's that.
Someone says they need a consult. The best place to do consults or mentorships, you just go to mossycreekmushrooms.com. We have a consult and a mentorship page. You can schedule it yourself right there on the website. If you need it in a time when the scheduling software will not let you or anything else, just call Jackie. We can set one up manually.
Yep.
Best place to call us is just right there on the listed phone number. And the best place to email us at is the contact us form on mosscreekmushrooms.com.
Yep.
And you guys will get to hear Jackie's lovely voice, or at least read his lovely type. He's always so polite. He's so much more polite than I am in email. I'm always just like, answer question, signed Andrew, done. And Jackie's like, I'm deeply troubled by this package that got lost. So, any
Spartan eloquent.
she called
That's
you an
great.
elephant?
No.
I mean, that's better than Chubby Chase.
Chubby
so-
Chase.
So, whatever.
I did not say that. I did not.
All right, let's see. Samantha, you got anything to close this out?
No.
Okay.
No? Jackie, you got anything?
Many blessings. And thank you for tuning in.
Absolutely.
Hey, that was great.
Ah,
That sounds
so
good. Yeah, very good.
I'm a natural. That's great.
Well, we'll call
Yeah.
that the end of the raid. And it was so very good to talk to you guys. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Say sláinte, right?